So listen and pay attention. I'll tell you guys a story of the spot where I'm standing. I shot a deer not 20 yards from here several years ago, back in 2016. And what had happened was right south down here, I have a stand right here next to me, right south down here, about 70 or 80 yards in this bean field. This buck was feeding along. He was the only deer I could see that evening. It was October 29th, right before the rut began in Missouri here. He was feeding along out there in the bean field for probably 15 or 20 minutes and didn't really move from the 5-yard, 10-yard radius that he was in the whole time. And it was starting to get to where it was getting to be last light. And I was like, I've got to make a decision. Am I going to try to engage this deer, call it to me, or am I just going to sit here and let him feed along and not come up here? So I did what I thought I needed to do, and I grabbed my grunt call and I grunted to him a few times. This did catch his attention. He immediately walked out of the field very slowly, out of the bean field, and he walked over to some trees down here in the tree line in the fence row, and he began rubbing his antlers on the limb above him. He was pawing the ground. It really had triggered him and got him really angry. So I knew there was going to be something happen here. So he began to make his way up the fence row to the stand, and as he got about 20, 25, or about 30 or 25 yards away, I was thinking, okay, there's going to be an opportunity for a shot here. Then he angled down, went down behind the stand and into the timber, and I couldn't see him anymore. And I thought, well, I at least tried, you know. And so I thought he was gone for good. I thought he couldn't tell where it was. So then I looked back into the timber with my grunt call, and I can't remember if I think I snort wheezed at him, directly to him, because there was enough blocking the vision at that point that he wasn't going to be able to see me if I snort wheezed or grunted at him. And I snort wheezed at him. Never saw him again for 2 or 3 minutes, 5 minutes maybe. And I was getting ready to get down and leave. I actually had the rope hooked on my bow to lower it down. And as soon as I did that, I heard a crunch over on the north side of me now. So from the opposite way that he came. And then next thing you know, he hops over the fence about 20 yards away and heads out into the bean field. And I was able to get a shot off, make what I thought was a pretty good hit. And then he turned and ran back into the timber. And this is where I come to my point. I stopped and listened and stayed calm during that time. And I could hear him, knowing the lay of the land in the timber here. I heard him run, crash, make a couple loud sounds, and then I just heard a shh sound, like he had slid down a bank of leaves whenever he'd gone down. And I knew there was a bank right back in the timber about 60 yards. And I was like, you know what? I bet he ran back there and went and slid down that bank. Went back to the house, got some lights, and came back. There was a perfect blood trail that went right to where he was. Sure enough, that sliding sound that I heard was him going down that embankment. It wasn't a real deep one, but it wasn't hard to drag him out. But that was exactly where he was. Now, if I had been hooping and hollering and going crazy and celebrating while he was running off, one, he may have heard some of that, and the adrenaline may have pumped even higher, and he could have ran even farther. Two, I may not have heard him go down that embankment. And if I didn't have a good blood trail, I wasn't going to have any idea where he was. So luckily I had a good blood trail to follow, but paying attention after the shot, listening is so key in being able to prevent having to bring a dog out, or prevent having a hard time tracking, or maybe, unfortunately, not even recovering your deer. Thank you for watching Farming for Whitetails. We'll see you next time.